Hello. Good evening, everyone. I am Atla Roy, and I work as a software engineer at DBG. I am here to give you an idea about coffee at DBG. So, first of all, what is coffee at DBG? Coffee at DBG is an open interactive session about technology. Every time we would choose a popular topic and we would have a discussion about it. It happens on the first Wednesday of every month. We are also providing the live streaming through Google Hangouts for the people who cannot attend this session. Okay, so why Coffee at DBG is different? What's the difference between Coffee at DBG and other tech talks? Of course, there is a difference because Coffee at DBG provide you a platform, I mean for the programmers to resolve their problem in addition to acquire knowledge. That means anyone who has a problem, then I mean technical issues, then discuss it with your friends and get a solution for it. This is the 9th edition of Coffee at DBG, and these were the sessions that we already covered. The topics include AngularJS, tooling for modern web developers, testing tool for developers, modern version control systems, and at the last time, cloud computing, and it was very interesting too. Today, we will discuss about the best practices in mobile application development lifecycle. It would led by Mr. Rahul Krishnan from Atinat Software. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Rahul Raj for Tech Bytes. Thank you.
Hello. Good evening all, and once again welcome to Coffee at DBG. I am Rahul. I am working as a UI developer in DBG. I am here to present Tech Bytes. So we can move on to some latest technical tech news for this month, and it's the first one is something related to Google, and Google is about to acquire a US-based robotic firm called Boston Dynamics. And the Boston Dynamics, which was started on 1992, it is quite famous in making robots for the US Army. And some of the robots that is being made by Boston Dynamics is BSD, LS3 Atlas, Petman, Cheetah, and Big Dog. And Google has already acquired almost 7 robotic firms for the last 6 months. That include Autofus, Bot and Dolly, Industry Perception, Meha, Redwood Robotics. This is one of the major news for this month, and this one. And next is Netra. This is something, a initiative that is by India government. It is an application that that will detect some suspicious words, suspicious sentence or words in your mails, blogs, something like bomb attacks. It's an internet spy system that is made to rectify some cyber crimes that is happening in our country. And also it is being developed by the Artificial Intelligence Center for Artificial Intelligence Robotics and the lab under DRDO. And we are also planning to share some technology based on to decipher the messages through the chat platform, like what you call as WhatsApp, Skype. Okay, fine. And we are also planning for a tie-up with the US government, a plan called Indo-American Alert Watch and Warn Network for a rapid cooperation for both countries for cybercrime. Next one is a device that is under development and it is about to launch on February 24th. It's a black phone. Black phone is something, a phone that is being developed. Their main motive was to privacy. That is the main motive, and it's been developed by a Swiss-based company called Silent Circle and Geeks Phone. Here they are saying that they are using a cryptographic algorithm to encrypt and decrypt the data that is being transmitted from the receiver end and also at the transmitter's end. They're also using a cryptographical chip to do this function. And also this is about to launch on February 24th at Mobile World Congress. And we can watch a short video about the black phone.
Que Black Phone es una oportunidad excelente para no solo innovar en tecnología, sino permitir a los usuarios que se comuniquen de manera segura.
The time has come. Data and humans have become one. Technology was supposed to make our lives better. Instead, we have lost our privacy. We have become enslaved. Now it's time for a change.
Black Phone, it's a journey built upon privacy, control, and security, wrapped in a high-end smartphone built by a very innovative all-star team of cryptographers, security, and mobile innovators.
The number one priority in creating Black Phone is to uphold the objectives of privacy. It's not to serve some other business model of monetizing customer data. What we're trying to do is to make a smartphone whose whole purpose is to protect users' privacy.
Creemos que Black Phone es una oportunidad excelente para no solo innovar en tecnología, sino permitir a los usuarios que se comuniquen de manera segura, cosa que ahora mismo es imposible.
Black Phone est un projet international qui est composé par des gens du monde entier. Nous croyons dans les valeurs de liberté, dans les valeurs d'innovation. Nous croyons surtout à la neutralité.
I've been interested in secure telephony for longer than I've been interested in secure email. I had to wait for the rest of the technology infrastructure to catch up to make it possible to do good secure telephony. And so PGP was really kind of a detour for me while waiting for the rest of technology to catch up to make really good secure telephony possible.
Black Phone is designed so that when you use it, you get the best privacy that you would get on any mobile phone. It's configured, set up, modified so that the privacy aspects of it are all melded together, from the security parts of the CPU to the hardware of the phone to the operating system and apps, so that just about everything that you do is private.
There has never been a time in the world where privacy has become such a commodity. And none of the other devices in the world have been built around giving privacy back to the user.
PrivateOS es el Android que ya conoces, con todas las aplicaciones disponibles, con una capa adicional de seguridad que permite comunicaciones encriptadas y ese nivel extra de privacidad que los usuarios están demandando en el mercado.
Le projet Black Phone est un mariage entre l'innovation et le style. L'innovation est dans le cœur de notre marque et le style est très important. Aujourd'hui, un téléphone est un signe d'identité.
The Black Phone is for privacy-minded, security-minded people, people from all walks of life who want to take back control of their privacy.
Okay, next. Okay, next is some. Please play this. Okay, next is again Google. Google is Google has introduced another innovative product called Google Lens. It is something related to healthcare. It's a contact lens that you can wear on your eyes, and it will monitor the glucose level in your body. That is, it is made of some wireless chip and a glucose sensor that will sense the level of glucose in your body at regular interval of time. It also consists of some wireless antenna that is thinner than human hair. And also Google is planning to embed some LED flashlights inside this lens to indicate the level of glucose in your body. Like when the level is increased, it will highlight in one color, and if the level is decreased, it will highlight in another color. That is another good product from Google. Next. And the next one is smartphone that never dies. That means you don't need to
extend their services. Who are who's empowering worldwide organizations to extend their services and products to services and other offerings to mobiles and other connected devices. So we work mainly on the mobile and the connected devices space. Connected devices includes your Xbox, PS3s, smart TVs, etc. So something that continuous delivery. So continuous delivery has been there in. So before that, it might be better that I explain you what continuous delivery is. So I'll just give you a brief of my agenda. So how I'm planning to start off the session is with an introduction to continuous delivery. Then how we have implemented continuous delivery in our organization. Now this might not be the most ideal manner, so I would like to leave it open for a discussion here. Like you can feel free to suggest. Before that, how many of you are mobile developers here? Okay, so that's a fair good number. So it might be you guys might be following other best practices in your offices, which I'd really like to know about that. So how we have implemented continuous delivery in our organization. At the same time, we have assured quality from our side. So one of the reasons, like say, why we implemented continuous delivery was to improve the developer productivity. Like instead of focusing on maintain release task, so we wanted to improve our developers' productivity. They had to just focus on what they do best, that is code. So other reasons were like obviously quality assurance. Most of the time there are areas where we as developers tend to overlook. So we wanted to make sure that there is a proper static analysis being done, there's proper unit testing being done, and we also have implemented an automated acceptance testing. So which I'll come to it, and I might also show you a demo on that. So the other areas including the packaging, archiving, deploying it to the client, then continuously improving your applications by analytics, collecting user insights and stuff like that. So these are the areas that I'm planning to cover. And the build orchestration using Jenkins is a build server which we are using for orchestrating the various build processes that you're going to see in the next few slides. So what exactly is continuous delivery? So continuous delivery was or is a natural extension of continuous integration. Continuous integration, as most of you might be knowing, it came as a disciple of extreme programming. So it's one of the areas in extreme programming. Like if you are an extreme programmer, continuous integration has to be a part of it, because you have to be ready to delivery from day one. So that's a basic idea. So your code is getting integrated with your servers, with your other teammates' code on a regular basis, so that if there are any issues or bugs, you will be able to know it beforehand and make remedies for it. So continuous, according to Martin Fowler from ThoughtWorks, he has been the proponent of extreme programming. So ThoughtWorks is one of the leaders in continuous delivery as well. So according to Martin Fowler, continuous delivery is a software development discipline where you build software in such a way that software can be released to production at any time. So basically it's like you click a button and your app has to go to production. And one other definition which I came across was it's a way of making your release very boring, so that anyone can actually just click a button and release it. So no one need to know the complexities involved along with it. So that's the basic idea. So this is this shows you, or most of the mobile developers here would be familiar with the various stages that I have mentioned here. So this is slightly different from a typical web development or your other desktop and other system development. So the mobile scenario, things have the applications are much smaller, and most of the time you actually like test before you deploy. It might not be a deploy and a test cycle, so it might be build, test, and deploy. So these are the various stages that I could think of. So design and develop. After that, you instrument. Instrument would range from your basic code metrics, your static code analysis, your memory profiling, your heap usage, and such areas. So this also might mean news for most of the web developers, because in web and desktop platforms, we never think about how much heap is getting used, or is my null reference, is there a null dereference issue. So we are not bothered about that, but mobile, as you know, is a very performance constrained platform, a very resource intensive platform. So we have to make the most out of it. So instrumentation is a big deal here. Next is integration. Integration might be with your APIs, it might be with other applications and stuff like that. Your test phase. A scan and certify is most of the app stores, like may be iOS or Android. They have a certification process. They have a app signing process to make sure that the app is coming from a trusted source. So that's scan and certification, and then you deploy the application. After you deploy the application, you even have to manage your application. Say, even if it's a beta release within your organization, you will have to manage who all have access to this application. You will have to manage different things like users switching from light and pro version of your applications. Other important area is obtaining the insights, how the users are using this application, how much time is spent on each screen, or is the user using the functionalities that you wanted them to, or they are just like opening the application. So one of the hard pain points in mobile development is an application gets used maybe a maximum for 1 week, and then people don't look back to it. So it's very important that you get the insights of the user. You have to get the insights in such a way that you have to know that beforehand that the user is getting bored of your application. It's time to make some more changes, or it's time for a new update to keep them interested. So, and the cycle continues. So this is what we have tried. All these processes is what we have tried to bring under the continuous delivery purview. So implementing continuous delivery for mobile. So I will just show you a brief diagram. So this is what we set out to achieve. So as a developer, the developer will just check in his source code, or he'll just trigger a build tag, and at that time you have to do a proper unit testing of that code. You have to also make sure that the application follows all the code metrics, may it be on the static analysis side, or or on the performance side. Then it's about app deployment. During deployment itself, before deployment, what we are doing is we are also doing an automated testing. So, this is what we wanted to achieve. I'll show you how we achieved it. So we wanted to achieve automated testing of the application, and once the application was okay to go, we wanted to deploy it. And while we were deploying it, there were multiple deployment servers where we had to deploy the applications. It might be for an internal QA who is going to test the application internally. We might have to deploy it externally for an external the client-side QA. And once the application is ready to go, there is a typical practice in the mobile application development space of releasing it to the beta users, which are general public users. And there are, like, if you have heard of, there are multiple platforms like users or UTest. UTest is a platform where it's like you can actually hire beta testers for using your application. So it's a community-driven testing. So these are typical things that always happens in the mobile industry, and it's very important that we analyze the usage and crashes that are occurring within our application, and then follow a continuous improvement cycle. So this is what we wanted to achieve. So I'll just split up each of these components into build, test, deploy, and release phases, and tell you the tools that we leverage for achieving such a system. So on the build phase, So on the build phase, all our build scripts are now written on Gradle. Gradle is a build platform. So Gradle reached into fame the last Google I/O, where Google said that from here, Android is completely going to follow the Gradle build system than the Ant and Eclipse Ocean. So that was instant fame for Gradle, which was there for around quite a long time. It's based on Groovy. It's one of the most successful Groovy products around. So it's completely open source, and there are so our entire build scripts, the build scripts including like how we want to, which task do we want to run first, or how do we want to upload to a test flight, or how do we want to manage the dependencies. All these build scripts are actually written now in Gradle. So the platform tools, of course, we are using the Xcode build or the Xcode for building the iOS applications, and the Android SDKs for building the Android applications. And on the dependency management side, we are using Maven repository for Android, like where most of the artifacts and the libraries are located in the Maven repositories. And we're using a framework or a tool called Cocoa Ports, which is like which can be thought of like a gems and from a Ruby world gem, or it's a package manager kind of a thing. What it does is it searches various repos where you can mention that, okay, this pod has to be injected into my application in such a way. The dependencies are, say, I am installing a framework like, say, RESTKit. If you're aware of RESTKit, RESTKit depends on AF networking, it depends on other XML frameworks. So this one will collect all those frameworks from the web and install it on our application as dependencies. On the packaging archiving side, we are using CodeSign and JavaSigner. These are also coming along with the platform itself. So this is the build phase, and another important thing in the build phase is the code quality analysis. This is purely static analysis. So these are also packaged along with the Xcode and the Android SDKs. For Android, we use Lint, and for Xcode, we use Clang. So any queries or any doubts at this point? No. I can continue, right? Okay. So on the test phase, so test phase is where I was planning to show a demo. So this is not your typical unit testing. So there is a unit testing which Xcode and Android provide their own frameworks, or not their own frameworks. Android uses JUnit, Xcode uses a comparatively similar thing in Objective-C called OUnit. So this is acceptance testing, what I am interested in showing you guys. So on acceptance testing would, Cucumber, if you're aware of Cucumber, Cucumber is used for behavior-driven development. So you can actually, like from a business side, I can say that, okay, when I'm going into my login page and I'm entering invalid credentials, I have to see an alert. So, or I successfully enter my credentials, I go into the main page. So these are the kind of typical test cases that are your requirements that your business is going to have, and that's what you're going to implement in your application. So our test specs are written completely on Cucumber. Our test scripts, the scripts are actually like what determines how a particular page is getting called, or how the navigation flow is happening. So those are written in Ruby. We are using a framework, open source framework, which was recently acquired by Xamarin. It's called Calabash. And we are also using there is strong platform support, which many of us don't know. Like there is strong platform support for automation in both Xcode and in Android. Xcode has something called UI Automator, and Android has something called instrumentation framework. So I'll just quickly move on to a demo on this, so you will understand what I'm trying to say here. this is like it's analyzing the dependencies. So it's actually going to invoke Cocoa Pods for installing the various dependencies that your application is going to use. So this is the point when I expect my simulator to launch and run the application, but unfortunately it didn't happen yet. I'm just restarting it once more. So if it doesn't work this time as well, I'll continue with the rest of the slides and maybe keep this for last. Yes. So what you're seeing is the application is automatically navigating and it's actually trying to simulate a forgot password scenario here. So right now it's entering an invalid mail address and stuff like that. So you're going to see a lot of automated stuff that is happening in the background starting from now. At the same time, a report is actually getting generated for this, like which will actually allow you to see where my test scripts passed and where it failed. It shows you the screenshots when it happened and stuff like that. I'll go back to the slides and maybe show you the final report because this might be boring. Uh, So coming on to the deployment phase, so what you're seeing now is the various build scripts that we use, how we achieved automated testing. Uh, and the next phase is deployment. And deployment, we use TestFlight for, TestFlight is a cloud-based platform which we are using for all our deployment purposes. And in there we create different teams for achieving the external QA, the internal QA, and the different team segregations. So I believe Adarsh is going to take a detailed session on TestFlight after this. So TestFlight is something which I advise each and every mobile developer has to use it, irrespective of whether you're using or following continuous delivery in your organization. It's the best way to actually deliver something to the clients rather than you sending your IPA or some files through mail. This is much more cleaner, and it also allows you some initial form of analytics in the way that you can know whether the client has installed the application, whether he has started using the applications, whether there has been crashes and stuff like that. So when it comes to the release phase, we also do a couple of other things, like we include our Crashlytics and Flurry. These are two cloud-based again frameworks or tools that we use. So one is used for actually advanced analytics of the applications, from which geography is my application getting used, who is using it, how long it's getting used, and say I can also have my own custom cases. Like the last media project that we had worked on, what we have done is, say when the user starts a video, say I have the Superman or some kind of a video series that I'm going to watch, and as soon as he starts watching the video, there is an analytics event that is getting sent, and it also tracks how long has he watched the video, whether he's going to continue watching that video. So this can also be used for recommendations and other stuff in future. People can also make buying decisions and content purchasing decisions based on this. Also continuously improving the application, definitely. So my next is the final thing, like that's the build orchestration, like how we have achieved this entire thing, how we have connected the various things. You have seen the build tools, you have seen how we have written the test scripts for running automated tests, how we have connected all this together, how we pull things from the source code repository, how we trigger the build, how we are deploying it to the various test flight and other analytics engine. So that's what we have been using Jenkins for that. So that will be a complete demo session, but I'll just start off saying how we are following source code management. So here the source code management is not with respect to the branching model that you guys need to use. It's completely from a build server perspective. So any branching model, like say if you're using a master branching model, or if you're using a Jetflow kind of a model, in any model this is supposed to work, or this will work. So say I have a branch and I want to make that particular commit, I want to release it to the customer, or I want to release it to my internal team. So what I do there is I just tag it as QA internal. I specify the version number. This is the going to be replaced as the version number of your application. And once I do this, my Jenkins will fetch this and it will automatically upload it to my internal QA server, where my internal QA team can actually do testing on it. So they'll also get their feedback through Crashlytics. So, and similarly for QA external, it's going to be, go to an external team, and release is going to be a release candidate, which is going to be directly sent to the client. So that's the basic idea. So now I'll just jump on to the demo, and before that I hope that the other process is completed so I can show you some reports. This is done. Okay. So the next thing is the static analysis that I was talking about. Say I can actually go into a project, I can just right click here, I can see the build report. So this will actually tell me what are the different bugs that are there. Say there is a null dereference issue, I just want to see that. So where is that actually happening? So I get everything including the line number. So this is very detailed reporting which will actually allow you to pinpoint issues and stuff like that. So the same goes for Android, wherein we have a lint report. Uh, so here you can see the various things like there is an invalid package which is not included in Android and stuff like that. So how we are triggering off the build process is very simple and straightforward. Uh, And you can see that they're just tagging it QA internal language, declaring the appropriate version number. So I'll just go ahead and make a new tag. And add to the flag. So as the next step, I just had to it automatically the Jenkins server will automatically poll the source code repository. We'll keep on polling the source code repository every 15 minutes. So since we don't want to wait that long, I'll just go manually and trigger the build. So this is the particular build that I had actually. It's an internal build. So I'm just triggering it off. So I can actually go and see the entire console output that's happening from my build server here. So it has fetched the 19th tag that I had just given now. You see the last uploaded build here is 1.018. So once that process has been completed, this is test flight for your information. So once the process is completed, you're going to see a new build that is going to get uploaded here. And we are also using a tool called Crashlytics for the various crash and other analysis. So here you can see the various open issues and stuff like that. So I'll just go to the internal team. I'll go for, this is the application that I have just triggered off. So the last version is 1.018.
right now it's actually uploading into Testflight.
Meanwhile, if you have any questions, there's a mic available, you can ask questions.
So my question is just like that is you had explained all these things. So somebody who is not into continuous integration, that is doing normal development method, how can they start with? How will they get into continuous integration? That is, we just got those items. That is some tools that can be used for that.
Exactly.
So what are the other prerequisites for that?
So what I had just briefed on is the various tools that we have been using internally. So obviously there are different plethora of other tools that are available. Like if you are familiar with Maven, like you have to have a continuous integration background at least, or you have to do a bit of a homework towards continuous integration to actually get started on this process. But initially, like if you guys are not using frameworks like TestFlight or Crashlytics or Flurry for that matter, you can start off with that. The next step would be to go for a build script tool like maybe a Gradle or a Maven. So if you're familiar with Maven, go with Maven, or if you want Gradle, you can go with Gradle. Have the entire build process kind of running from the terminal at least. Like there is an Xcode build that is a command line build executable that is provided by Xcode itself. Android obviously can be built completely from the command line. So that's a good place to start. And once that's complete, like it's mostly baby steps. Like we took close to, I believe, 4 months for achieving this entire step. So it's mostly baby steps. And
so it'd be great that is if you could know that how actually you started and how you got it implemented.
yeah, like I said, like we actually started using TestFlight and Flurry long back. Like we started with it 1 year back, I believe. So then what had happened in between was like, say, our clients got more demanding. So they wanted, they had an internal sandbox environment. If you see, the two applications that are getting uploaded along with this, one is pointing to a dev environment, the other one is pointing to a staging environment. So people started getting more demanding. They wanted version numbers to be updated every time, and App Store has strict guidelines on the version number. You had to create mobile provisioning files, and you have to add devices each and every time. So there was a lot of productivity that was getting lost in these areas. So this is where we actually got the trigger of the motivation to do something like this. So when we started off, I believe we started entirely focused on Jenkins. So Jenkins has an Xcode plugin. It also has an Android plugin, I believe. So you can actually use that. It's you just need to specify your workspace name and stuff like that, and Jenkins is actually going to do the build for you. So yeah, so that was our first trial. So that's how we initially kickstarted. And once we got familiar with that, and once we got bored with that, we wanted to know what was happening internally, what was that Xcode plugin doing internally. So then we could understand the Xcode itself provides a very good command line interface. So why not leverage that directly? Then Google, like Google I/O was a big trigger for us. Like when Google actually moved completely to Gradle, and once we moved to Android Studio for development for all our Android projects. So that was a time like Gradle was a part of our development. So there was no way of getting rid of Gradle. So we wanted the same thing, the same scripts to be used in our Xcode or Objective-C iOS projects as well. So right now what we have is scripts which are approximately 75% reusable across these platforms. So like the other one is platform specific script logic. So the rest of the part, like the versioning or the upload to TestFlight, all these are reusable scripts that we have used. So that was one of the inspiration behind going with Gradle. Then once we got a hang of it, like we completed this close to 2 months back, and once we got a hang of it, like we wanted to do more advanced things like automated testing, having a static analysis report and stuff like that. So the journey is still going on. Like we are evaluating more and more platforms. There has been a lot of acceptance testing frameworks out there in the market now. So, but I didn't want to dive away or divulge into various different areas so that in order to prevent people from getting confused. So that was the reason why we kept it kind of simple, like just the way that we do it. This worked for us, so definitely it will work for you guys as well. So if you guys have different suggestions, I would be happy to hear that as well.
You talked about version control over here. You're using Git as of now, right? Is there any particular workflow that you're following, like Git flow or any such workflow as such?
Yeah, like we started off with Git flow. Like we started off without any flow. Like we just had a master branch where we were committing things. So then we wanted some sense to that craziness. So we switched to Git flow. So Git flow did a good job. I think we used Git flow for over a year for in many of our projects. So like, but again, once the client got demanding and they wanted multiple releases at one go, and they wanted one release, and then there was another release that was getting made, and they wanted to make changes on a release, a very earlier release which is already there in the App Store, and they wanted that to be published first. So the hotfix or the support, the workflows of Git flow did not cater in that project. So then we switched to GitHub's model, like where we had a master branch, we had branching models. So one look at the source control, or one look from a Bitbucket perspective, it will actually give you an idea of what are the other features that are going to, or what are the other features that are going to come in my next release. So who all are working on it and stuff like that. So that also, now it's most of a mix, like few people are still comfortable with Git flow, few are using the GitHub model as well. But our build server model, we wanted it to be completely independent of this. We didn't want to take the builds just from the master branch or from the developer branch. So that's why we incorporated a tagging method here.
Yeah, so I was about to ask is how do you manage the release if you are using a one single master branch? You're tagging using
we are tagging the tagging.
But the tagging might also work if you're using Git flow branch as well. Like you can tag that as well.
Yes.
Right. So okay.
It will work irrespective. Even if you are in a Git flow feature branch, you can actually release that feature. Like you can actually say that, okay, I want that feature to be tested by my QA. I can do that. So
any other questions? So actually, I hope that you might have came here with some questions in your mind. Yeah. And we have actually Rahul here with us, so you can ask any questions, and he will be available to answer you.
So just to prove that I was not bluffing, 1.0.19 is up. So once I start running the application, I can actually show that in a device. So once I start running it, I'll also get analytics on Crashlytics, like on that particular version. So now we haven't ran that version. So this has been uploaded today, just now. So I can actually go ahead, grant build permissions and stuff like that. Yeah, questions.
Yeah, Rahul, we talked about this automated test tools, right? Automated testing tools, and these tools can test the functionality. That's clear. But what about this UI testing part? I mean, the perfectness of this UI, and I mean the correctness of UI. There's any options for this?
Yeah, like
UI testing.
There are multiple options for that. Like I believe, like one of the recent sessions that I had seen in Coffee at DBG, I believe you took the session, right? Like wherein you had compared various images, the images that were given by the client, and your images or whatever screenshots that you are taking, you can actually compare them together. So this is something that we are right now trying out. So it's actually, you can use Image Magic or some libraries for that. So you can actually compare the one that is the one that you are taking the screenshot of, and you can compare it with the design thing, like whatever has been provided by the client. And if there are variations, you can actually create a report out of it. So it's possible.
Any questions?
There's a question.
Over there. Okay. You pass over the mic, please.
So have you ever used the OXX server for continuous integration?
Yeah, we have used OSX server as well, but it only allows for Xcode, like the automation board, right?
Yeah.
So we had used it, it's also a very straightforward kind of a thing. So that's also a good point to get started. Yes, definitely a good point to get started for your acceptance testing needs. Yes.
Okay, so you have used both now, like Jenkins and Xcode server.
Yeah, we are using both.
Yeah,
Yes,
both.
yes.
So which one do you find as more flexible and
More flexible, of course, is Jenkins and the Calabash, wherein you can actually write your own scripts. You can actually control the entire testing flow. The other one also, you can do it like the UI automation framework. Internally, it uses the UI automation framework, but why we went for Calabash is one other question, like which I'll answer it now. So we are using Calabash for acceptance test needs. So Calabash is like, it was the same reason, like once we started off with acceptance testing, research and acceptance testing, we knew Xcode provides their own automation framework. Android also has a good instrumentation framework which will also do the automation for you. So, but we wanted like, say, logging into, once I'm shown the login page and once I enter an invalid credential, it has to show an error message. It's the same across Android, it's the same across iOS, it's the same in web also. So most of our projects work cross-platform. So we wanted test scripts that work cross-platform as well.
Okay.
So that was one of the reasons, like, where we dependent lot on Calabash. So where we could write Cucumber-based scripts on a higher level, which was independent, platform independent. So same thing, like we are achieving close to 60% of reuse with respect to our test scripts. So it's just the 40% is with respect to the various platforms. So in that respect also it gave us more flexibility. But the automation framework of Xcode, like I said, it's very powerful. So it's not that I can't achieve something that Xcode cannot with the Calabash framework. That's not possible because Calabash is internally using the UI automator and stuff like that. So if you're using OSX server for your automation purpose, I would say stick with it. Unless you won't have a lot of cross-platform needs, I would say you can stick with it.
So how do you find the build performance like with OSX server? Is it like more or less same or?
More or less same because it's
same Xcode running behind
exactly,
it.
Yes,
So how do you find it's easy to integrate with the test flight and that kind of deployment? How it's easy to integrate with the OSX server? Have you tried that?
Server is going to be difficult. Like in that respect, Jenkins is going to be a lot more easier. Like if you have a workflow where you want to upload to a test flight, or you want to send reports to some other server, I want to trigger mails once this is completed. So Jenkins, Hudson, all these build servers are very strong and with a lot of plugins and a very good community backing. So I would say you can go for such build servers there. Because the Xcode, they have actually concentrated purely on Objective-C development. So it's not, you don't have the flexibility of including this various other things. You can do it, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah, thank you. So one more question.
Yeah.
So this Flurry and Crashlytics is free tools, or we need to pay for that?
Crashlytics is currently in beta. So right now they are in free. Like they have been free for the last 6 or 7 months, but it requires an invite. Like you have to get invited to the program. Flurry, I think they have a pricing model as well as a free model, right? It's mostly free, but they do have a pricing model as well.
Okay.
So, there are Google Analytics is also a very good solution. We have been using analytics in a range of projects. So even that is also really good. But Flurry provides a lot of things along with the SDK itself. So it's much more easier for us to integrate it with the application and.
So how good is Google Analytics in terms of get more insights about the mobile app, like the usage and the kind
See,
of
once you're going to advanced analytics, most of the insights that you need has to be created by you. So I have to define my own checkpoints, what makes sense to me, right? So if it's a video player application, I would want to track my how the user is going to use the video playback, whether ads are displayed properly or whether it's not getting played in a region where it's not supposed to. So these are the various areas in such a scenario. So most of the time, like once it comes to like the basic analytics, like I believe Google Analytics might not be that good because Flurry, if you just integrate Flurry or TestFlight, you get a lot of information without writing a single line of code. But Google Analytics, once you have to start writing code, all the platforms are almost the same because you have to define your own checkpoints and stuff like that. So cannot compare a lot between this. Which one thing that I tend to choose is whichever dashboard I like better. So where I can group things from the back end. So Google Analytics, in that respect, I found it to be much better. Like the dashboards and stuff like that is much better.
So how do you automate the testing on multiple devices? Like for example, Android has so many devices for testing, right? I mean, more number of hardware we need to test. But with iOS, we have very limited number of hardware, but still we need to test in iOS 4S pilot. So how? Is this framework you are using, like the UI Automator or the Cucumber test?
Calabash.
Calabash. Calabash. So is it really easy to use with multiple devices?
Yeah, the basic idea is like once on the Android side, if I have the ADB connected, the Android debugger connected, I can actually deploy it to any device. I can get the logs from any device. So in Android, there's one other good thing is Android supports Wi-Fi debugging. So I just need to place the devices on a Wi-Fi network. And we have such a setup there, like where we can actually deploy the devices to the various devices that we have in-house. You can just deploy it on the fly and we can start the testing. You not use the simulator for that. In iOS case, like you need much more hardware. Because you need to plug in the device manually, right? So one thing that we are trying to achieve now is like we are actually creating an over-the-air installer so that Wi-Fi debugging kind of scenario is possible. So that is something that we are doing it currently. So we're not really sure whether it's going to turn out to be feasible, but we'll keep you updated.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Thanks a lot, guys. So if you guys want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me either on my email address or my Twitter handle. Thanks a lot. I'll upload the slides on this path as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Rahul. We all had a very wonderful session. This, as you know, is the 9th session of Coffee at DBG, which we are having here today. And we are having a lot of new faces here. A lot of them are very new here. Yeah. So as we told earlier, this is a session where you can raise any questions. Whatever questions you have, you can ask. You can share among friends. You can find like-minded people, just the way Rahul mentioned some time ago. So let's just start with the names of everyone. There are different people from different companies. Let's just know the names and introduce where you are from and your names.
Okay, my name is Vishnu. I'm working at Rain Concert as a mobile applications engineer. So I work on Android platform.
Myself is Sajesh. I'm also from Rain Concert. I'm working with PHP and also in Android platform.
Hi guys, I'm Smita S. Mohan. I'm from Test House and working as a QA tester.
Hey, I'm Henu Tushar. I'm a QA lead at Experian.
Hi, I'm Sharath. I'm working as an architect at Experian.
Hi, I'm Ganesh, working as a project manager in Zappin.
Hi, I'm Danesh. I'm working in Flip Media.
Hey, I'm Praveen. I'm working in Flip Media. Hi, I'm Sajid. I work for Ernst& Young as a penetration tester.
Hi, I'm Sharon, working on Element Softwares.
I'm Katu from Element Software Solutions.
I'm Manoj from Yada Business Solutions.
I'm Ajay Marushakarma from Travancore Analytics. I'm a web developer.
Hi, I am Liju K. Thomas at Milliman Softwares.
Good evening all. I am Vijesh Vijayanath. I am working as mobility architect at IBS.
Hi, I'm Shaheen. I'm working as senior software engineer at Artinar Software.
Hi, I'm Joju. I'm working in New Venture Technologies.
Hi, myself Debo from IBS.
Hi, I'm Joy John from Techvantage Systems.
I'm Rajan Peter from TechVantage.
I'm Renish from M Squared, working as Android developer.
Hi, I'm Abid Khan, working as a senior iOS developer in 380 Solutions.
Hey, I'm Nitin, coming from. I'm Nitin from 380 Solutions, working in
3IT Solutions.
380 Solutions, working in iOS platform.
So yeah, we are having the next session. The next session is on test flight by Adarsh. He will be taking the session soon after this introduction when we finish it. Yeah. So if we can just continue the introductions. What's the mic? Anyone who is left to introduce? Okay.
Hello. Hi friends. Myself Akhil from Test House QA engineer.
Right, so we have a multitude of people from different backgrounds, different technologies, PHP, Android, iPhone, QA, all of them. So how's the session till now? What do you think about it? Oh, very tired hearing the session. Okay, let me invite Adarsh to give the next talk on test flight.
Hi, good evening all. I'm Adarsh from DBG. I'm a mobile developer working here. So Rahul already went through test flight a little bit. And,
Okay, it's working.
Okay. Test flight is a distribution service. It's a cloud-based service. We can distribute apps and So you can see this is the archive, and I'm going to distribute. I'm creating an ad hoc deployment.
So what does the sample app do?
It just like an experience you got it installed.
Okay.
So as this and yeah, you can see that this this is a as it's a account. Yeah, that will create an account on TestFlight, and we should create. I can explain you something about the team. Here you can see we can create different projects, and each project have their own teams, their own this will be the team, and we can give this to this team. Yeah, device, that process is there still, it's there.
Yeah, so you need to add the person to the account.
Yeah.
And you need to add the device to the person.
And it's not exactly like that.
Could you explain how does it work? How?
As a connection method, we need to collect, we need to gather the UD of the device. When it comes to iPhone, you need to collect the ID of the device. If you are a client, and get your UD machine, that device,
okay.
I should add that device App Store account. I am creating this application, and once this application is uploaded to the TestFlight account, it will display which UDID has been added there.
I should link it with it.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So now we are into a Coffee app, and you can see that here we have option to upload the IPA, and this is the latest one we have created just now. And here yeah, then it will be displayed. And I'm pressing this update notify. So my job has done right now.
So now the client should get the build as an email.
Yeah. Please refresh your mailbox. How?
Okay, I'm refreshing it. Yes, might take some time.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a mail. 1.6 Coffee App 1.6 is now available.
Yeah, please do that mail. And you can please hold on. If you can see Yeah. I explain the features. Just a minute. So it shows that the stress is installed. So I can I can understand would be a test install the application.
There are 4 buttons shown here, and clicking each of the button would trigger some action, which will be recorded there. That's what we'll be looking at in this session.
So
right, 4 buttons.
So basically, the bridge please give me some feedback on the application.
Okay, I've submitted it.
Okay.
And it says it has been successfully submitted.
Yeah. It will be displayed. Have how the testing works and how they face what are difficulties they face.
So let me just clarify this. But as a developer, if I were a developer, I
Yeah.
can understand which all functionalities is the tester testing.
Yeah.
So if he has tested a functionality, if he has not tested it,
Yes,
if he tested it twice, all
Yes.
can be known from this.
Exactly.
Okay.
And also remotely you can push that button.
Yeah, I've pressed a remote login button.
Okay. Login is in the yes, as mobile developers and to log the values, data values or variable values in the application. And this is at the tip of DBG. But when we are delivering the application for release, we will not be able to know. In the process, we will not be able to know what all logs have been coming in, what all data they have been input, etc., etc. So in this process, we can have this application as a test report.
There are 2 more options: checkpoint and crash.
Check that I would explain that checkpoint is to yeah, please.
Okay, I've clicked both checkpoint and the crash.
Yeah, once the
application has completely crashed.
Yeah, once the crash, the application will be crashed. And for the special purpose, we are using that. This crash report. So once again.
So just to summarize, there were 4 buttons here, and I've clicked all the 4 buttons. First one was a feedback form where I can input a feedback, and that will be sent to the server. Second one was remote logging. Third is a checkpoint. Checkpoint is where we mentioned we can know what areas of the feature, what sections of your application has the tester gone through. And then there's a crash button, which upon clicking, the entire application has crashed. So we can see the crash report to know what all happened when this thing crashed.
So here you can see feedback, and it's has given me some feedback. So I guess, am I right?
Yeah, I just entered some random text. That's all.
Yeah. So etc. that will help us more.
So whether this feedback is something related to test flight or in that application?
We can use this feature till we go to the production. That means we can integrate this feature to the application on the development phase.
Okay, so test flight provides an option that it automatically collects feedback from the user about the application.
Yeah, we can use the phase for that, but we have some option to get. We need to cut the feedback and we can send it as a report to the test flight portal. And as it was to the production stage, we can remove that option. And it says the session comes. I think you have opened it again, I guess. And it says the device type, the date, how much minute, and how much the average session has been, how much minute the user has been testing the application. So this is a detailed about, means we need to look into is enterprise distribution using test flight. iOS developers may be aware of several different types of distribution, like App Store distribution, enterprise distribution, ad hoc distribution, etc. Any iOS developers here? I think you are aware of that. And enterprise distribution means we can distribute the application to unlimited users without sending it to the App Store. We can manage that distribution ourselves. So test flight helps us to do that, and that service is also free of cost. And these are some major companies that use test flight for the deployment throughout the world. So thanks. Now I'm winding up the session.
Thanks, Adarsh. So with this, we come to an end of today's session. So this, we thank Adarsh, Rahul, so another Rahul who came for Tech Bytes, and everyone who has come here. So before we wind up the session, we want to tell you something. This is not a place where we just present some stuff and we other people hear it. No, this is different. So what we want is we encourage you to come up with lots and lots of questions and ask any sort of questions which you have about the sessions which were conducted here. And as we always say, we might not know the answer for everything, but this is a place where we have people from different companies. We've got people from lots and lots of companies here. So some of them might be working in those areas, or you might be knowing the answers. Together, we can find a solution for it. So we want people to interact with each other, know each other, talk to each other, so that you get a better understanding of what is happening in another company. Probably you might be working on the same area. So for example, you've got mobile developers here. How many of you have actually included or worked in a continuous integration sort of a system which we have displayed here, which Rahul showed today? Very few of them might have actually done this, but this will give you an inspiration or a motivation to start implementing this in your projects. So what we want is to interact with each other, come up with more and more questions. So before you go home, talk to each other, mingle with each other, and we would definitely like to know your feedbacks. So there's an online community in Facebook called as Techno Geeks, where we post updates on coffee at DBG and different technical trends that happen. It's a community where technology lovers come together and talk about the technical updates and stuff. So we would like to know your feedbacks on what the session was, what went well, what didn't go well, how we could have improved more. Most importantly, your questions. What would you like to know more? What more sessions would you like to expect in such talks? So, and if you would like to participate, we would like that also. So please contribute to the Facebook page there, and yeah, talk to each other, make friends, mingle with everyone, right? So with that, I guess that's it for today. See you all next. This happens every month, okay? Every month, first Wednesday. So see you all next month, first Wednesday. See you. Bye.